Hello and welcome to the King's Forum podcast show. I have a special guest, Lou. Hi, Lou.
Hey, I'm back again.
Right, Lou's gonna just talk about kind of her experience with being sexually harassed verbally, and just feeling very uncomfortable situations with men since Sarah Everard's murder, and just wanted to put my feelers out there and speak to women I know about how can men make them feel more comfortable and safe. Lou, tell me about your experience you was just about to start talking about.
Okay, so I've probably got like a lot of women, a full list, and it's actually sad that I even have so much things to say on it until other things are brought to light. Sometimes I've put things to the back of my head and not even seen it as an issue until it's been said, and I've been like, oh, I didn't even deal with that. I just brushed it to the side, and it's been a constant thing for years and years until now. I'm like, oh, that's not right. So one of them is, I don't even know how to sort of like. So one of them is, for years and years, I have had men comment on my front private area. Now, this is said in a way of like, you see, you can even see it makes me even uncomfortable even trying to say it, because it's trying to say it in a way, because I can't even relay what men have even said, because I can't even believe in the moment that I've had men go, oh, you're big, aren't you? Look at you, like, oh, like, I'd like to get in that. And I'm like, pardon? um um at that moment my face literally is like, huh? Because they'll say it so randomly, and then you'll see their eyes, and obviously they're looking in that, and they're like, oh yeah, like, look, and you're like. And I've had men comment in front of my children,
What?
and my son is at an age now where he's gone, mum, what's he talking about? And I've been like, oh no, don't worry, it's just messing around, like, I don't know what he's talking about, don't worry, like, just ignore them. um And recently, a man commented and was like, you can't be walking around the street like that. Look at those leggings you're wearing. You can't be doing that to us, man. Look at what you're showing." I was like, that day, and usually I'm not in the mood sometimes. I don't even give them my attention, because I can't even give them a response, because I can't even believe you're even. But that day, I did respond, and probably, yeah, I responded in a way. I was like, you can't talk to me like that. And he's like, yeah, but look how you're walking, like, look at what you're like doing, that's illegal, that should be illegal, like, look at you. And I was like, okay. So that's one thing that I've even become so conscious of, a body part, like, one, that area, because of it's been highlighted to me so much, and men have made such crude comments and disgusting comments to me, that, yeah, I was just, and you think it's just, you don't really think about that. You think, like, yeah, that's one thing.
How can as an ally, what can we do more of, us men, in that situation? Should we be calling these men out and telling them it's unacceptable? And because for me, that's just horrible behavior, because they're making it out like it's your fault that they can't handle that you're wearing leggings, when it's their fault and it's their problem. The issues with them is because they're not mature enough to see a woman wearing maybe some gym gear or something, that they have to react in a way. And what I would say is, men out there, is keep that to yourself. Keep it. You
Yeah.
need to express that to a woman. It's disrespectful. Is the first thing as a man, and it makes me cringe just to hear these stories that men, grown men, are conducting themselves in this way, and even in front of your kids. And it's
Yeah.
just show respect, and respect to all women, no matter what your judgment of that person is. Keep it to yourself. You don't need to express that. So what more can we do, us men?
um I think it definitely is in the way that you approach us, because I don't want to fear men at all, but I do have a lot of fears of men, because I have been grabbed, I've been sexually assaulted, I have been touched in inappropriate ways. I have been spoken to in ways I I can go I can go down. I can talk about the R word, which I'm not going to because that's a bit, I'm not ready to talk about that, but that's happened. So many things that they've done in their approach to us, that they feel like they are allowed to behave like that, and they are allowed to come up to us and talk to us a certain way. And as men, I think sometimes if your friend behaves like that and you do not pull them up on it, then are you accepting of their behavior? Are you agreeing with them? Do you know what I mean? So I think sometimes you really have to, like, another thing I would say, men that drive slowly past you and call at you from cars and things like that, that again, I've had experiences recently where men in blacked out cars, that are, there might be a few men in the car, they're driving so slowly next to me, they'll pull up next to me, they'll pull down their windows, they're saying whatever they're saying. It's quite scary. Like, it is very scary, especially when there's multiple men in the car. And then when you ignore them, you've been met with aggression and swear words and, oh, you're not even that nice anyway. Look at you. Oh, you stupid white girl, or whatever they want to say. And you're like, all right. And it is quite scary because then when cars do pull up next to you, I've had times where I've jumped because, like, I've had bad experiences. So I do think it's the way in which men approach us, and it's bad, isn't it? Because if a man does find a woman attractive and they do want to go up to them, they should be allowed to. It's going to happen. But I think it's the way in which they do approach us, and beeping from your cars and hollering from your cars and pointing out our body parts. Like, even if a girl's got a nice bum, or whatever it is you think about them, then there's a certain way you conduct yourself. And obviously there are certain assets you can compliment us on, but some things that you shouldn't. Like that, we don't walk around pointing at men's bulges. Like, could you imagine? Like, that's not appropriate. I'm sure men probably wouldn't appreciate us doing that. Like, that's yeah, there's a way in which you compliment people, and there are certain body parts you just don't, like you said, you don't even need to talk about. Don't even mention it. That's inappropriate.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it's about respect, and thanks for sharing that. And I'm so sorry that you went through that and experienced that, because as I said, when you first started telling me about this, I was horrified to find out this is actually going on, and this is kind of the way they feel it's acceptable to behave this way. So for me, it's about respect for everyone. Yeah. And it's having respect for women in this situation that we're talking about, is about all women, and judgment, respect, and no judgment. So it doesn't matter what you're thinking at the time going out to men. Keep it to yourself,
Yeah.
because unless it's going to be something complimentary and said in a respectful way, keep it to yourself, because you're not making women feel safe by your behavior. It's so much predatory.
Yeah, and remember, we're gonna carry those thoughts. How you approach us and treat us in that moment, we carry those thoughts with us. As much as we don't want to, we will carry it, and it kind of puts a little fear in us. And then when we get approached again, it's like another something, another something. So it's like, they've got to remember that some men have taken something from us, and we don't want to be scared of women. We don't, but it's very hard sometimes when it's happened and they feel like they've had the power because they're bigger than us or whatever it is, that they should be able to just take what they want from us or do whatever they want with us. So yeah, they need to remember that, that's what
Respect
has
for
happened.
women. That's what I will say. And I'm going to apologize on the behalf of men, because I'm not one of these guys, but I'm still going to apologize, because I'm so sorry that you've had to feel this way, because it's not nice. Because you should be respected regardless of anyone's judgment of you,
Mm.
as a person, as a woman, and not disrespected, because that's a disrespect. No matter what clothes you're wearing, you should um, be able to express yourself and just be you. So yeah, I'm sorry that you've had to go through that, and thank you very much for sharing your experience. Thank you, Lou.
All right.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Cool. Go ahead, Mandy.
Yeah, I was just saying because it's not only about what was happened to her, but because it's just round the corner. It literally feels like it could have been me. It could have been all my friends live round the corner, live round here. She's about the same age as me, and it's just too close to home. It just feels awful. And when I was talking to one of my friend about it, and he was like, "I am so surprised that all of this has happened." I was talking to my friends; they've been called different names, and to me it's not surprising
Mm.
because I know things like this happen all the time. I know that a lot of my female friends have experienced tons of other things been, been called way worse, and it's just very common. And I don't understand why it is such a surprise to a lot of men, a lot of the male friends that I have. It seems like it's a surprise to them, and I don't really understand that. So I think with hopefully, well, it just sucks that it takes a tragedy like that for us to raise awareness again. But I'm hoping that this, will raise more awareness for other people to know that, yeah, unfortunately, it's not a one off thing. It happens all the time. That is just not even a surprise to us women anymore.
Yeah, no, I hear all of that, and let me just touch upon what you said about why some men are shocked. I think I'll tell you why it is though. I think as you said, sometimes we need these things to spread awareness, which is terrible because it shouldn't get to that point where something tragic has to happen for us to then start being like, oh, actually, maybe we do need to do something here and sort this out. But I think a lot of the time is we don't realize how bad it is. And a lot of the time is obviously we're not walking in your shoes. So we don't know how you're feeling. Hence why I'm talking to a woman about this, because I need to know your perspective, because there may be things I'm not seeing. And
Mhm.
that's what way it is for us other men who don't conduct ourselves in that way. So when I'm hearing about all this harassment,
Yeah,
you don't realize how much is going on until a woman comes to you and says, look, I get called this all. I'm like, what? Is it that bad? I didn't think it was that bad to that
yeah,
degree. What kind of, and maybe that's the thing of sometimes when if we talk about racism and things, unless it directly affects you or you're involved in that, do you then open your eyes and kind of say, oh, that's happening. And maybe that's it. We're in our bubble about this and kind of thought,
yeah,
and in my head, I was thinking this was something of the past and was, all of that stuff. We'd moved on, and it shows that some people haven't at all. Because I
yeah,
always say this: um, if there's guys I have to pull up about that, I would say, look, would you talk to sorry, if someone spoke to your sister like that, or your mother like that, or your partner like that, what would you be saying? Now, you wouldn't be accepting that as normal and as respectful. So why do you treat other women with disrespect?
yeah,
So now I totally hear where you're coming from, but it's just a shame, as I said, that something tragic has happened for me to stand up. So then I've been saying to other women, female friends of mine, that how can I help? Hence why I'm doing this episode, just to show my support and spread awareness that it's not okay, and what women are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and those situations and the way you're made to feel on a day-to-day basis, going out in public, in gyms, in nightclubs, or wherever. It's not okay, and it's something we need to pull up other men on as well, us men that don't behave in that way, and
yeah.
make it slide type thing. Oh, it's all right, it's just the way he is. That's not right. We need to
No,
challenge these people and pull them up on it, because they wouldn't accept if that was happening to someone close to them, a
yeah,
family member,
exactly.
what have you. So why is it acceptable to talk to a woman you don't know in that manner? With
Yeah,
no,
I think a lot of the time they don't think, they just don't,
yes,
they
that's
just
what it
don't
is.
think, just act on it, which is just, and I think people, female probably don't talk about it because they're like, it
Mm,
just happens so often. Like, why, if I keep talking about it every single week whenever something like this happens, like, and it's still happening, then what's the point? Like, why talk about it? It just becomes tiring. as well. I used to actually work in a nightclub in Norwich. Yeah, I worked in a nightclub for 4 to 5 years, and when I was there was when I turned 18, and then you used to just get men coming up to you and just they will come up, touch you, and do different things to you, and call you names, and they think they can get whatever they want and get away with it. Because when I was 18, I was like, okay, well, maybe this is what adult life is like. Maybe this is what's it like. So you never think that there's anything wrong with it until you're told, and until something more serious happen, or until someone tell you that that's actually not okay. Then you realize that, gosh, so all those times that you've been called different things, or you've been just touched up by different people in a nightclub, that's actually not okay. No matter how uncomfortable it is, it's just not okay. You just believe that society is
That's
the way it is.
that's horrible. So that the behavior was normalized.
Yeah, exactly. Same
It's,
with gyms and
it's accepted as a norm, as a normal thing, and a normal type of behavior, even though it's disrespecting you.
yeah, absolutely.
And, and that's horrible. And as you said, it shouldn't be that surprising because it goes on all the time, but it is surprising to me because maybe I don't see it, or maybe I don't want to see it. I'm calling
Yeah.
myself out here that maybe it's become so normalized that doesn't stand out. But when I hear it coming from you, I feel like that's just awful. It's just like, that they have this privilege because they're men to treat you however they want.
Yeah, I think how it would be helpful, because I love walking everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially during the pandemic. And there are many times where I will be walking from my friend's house in Vauxhall back to Clapham. There was one specific time that I saw a woman walking by herself. It was just after dark, and then there's a man following her, which I thought he was following her. She just looked really unhappy, and he kept following her. So I turned around and I followed him to make sure that she was okay. And it turned out that they were just having an argument. They actually know each other.
Oh,
so
really? Okay.
Oh my gosh, thank God. But I think what would be, what I would like to see happens is if I'm walking down the street and someone's calling me names, or if I look a bit uncomfortable because someone else's behavior, well, as not even men or women, as a human being, well, other people should speak up, and either whether just to check on I'm okay, or just to make sure the other person is not bothering me. Me and my friends have started to do that wherever we go. We've done it so many times, it turns out that it's nothing, but it's better to be nothing than something you couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, definitely. What can us men do more to help women feel safe, from your point of view? What aren't we doing enough of?
I think definitely standing up. A lot of people walk past and just look down and say it's not my problem and just walk straight past. That really annoys me, because a lot of these things happen like on the bus, on the tube.
Yep.
So often that you often see other women standing up for other women, which is great. But we also need more men stand up for us as well. I mean, I'm not saying that people don't do it. Like, there's tons of videos on the internet. Loads of men do that, but we need more people to speak up and just to talk about these issues and stand up for each other. Again, regardless of gender, is just help each other out a little.
Yeah, but I used to live in London, and I know Clapham well. My dad used to live there, and Clapham Common, you talk about. So I know that area pretty well. I used to live there, and I think sometimes London, just talking for London because I lived there most of my life, people have that thing of it's kind of like it's not my problem, and this is my bubble that I live in, and the bubble I live in is perfect, and nothing really happens, and outside of that, it doesn't affect me. And it's kind of did us in this thing of the whole fast-paced life, working hard, playing hard, and it's kind of like and not really dealing with what's happening on a day-to-day. you know, like reality and things that people experience. And you know, that's what London reminds me of, a bit like that. When I lived there, is there's so much of that, where someone sees something happening, they'll just put their head down,
Yeah.
walk on, just ignore it.
Or they take their phone out
Yeah.
instead of helping.
Or
Like, it just bugs me. And I think one of my some of my friends that are doing is, because they know I love to walk, they will offer me to walk, you know, to walk home with me, or making sure that, you know, I have everything that I need, making sure I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, and just reassuring, and just not just asking, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? But actually wanting to find out, like, are you actually okay? And to talk
Yeah.
about it. Because I think a lot of women probably feel, you know, men just don't want to know. They just think that women are exaggerating, or
Yeah,
just
that's
talking about things.
because when I think about when I partied and I was out with a group of girls in London or whatever, you know, I'd always make sure they were okay and they got home safely. Message me when you get back home. It didn't matter how late or in the morning, early in the morning, whatever it was. I'd want to know whether they got back safely and how they're getting back. If they were drunk, I'd make sure I was in that cab with them and actually put them in their flat or on their bed, and then came home and made sure that they got home safely. And that's what I think, it's that sense of, you know, looking after your, you know, want of a better word, tribe, your group of
Yeah.
people, and protecting them. And if everyone thought that way, there's always someone who knows someone, and that's a way. It's kind of like that whole sense of community.
Yeah, you'll be surprised how many people don't think like the way you do, and don't do that. And you know, I'm very lucky that I have great friends around me that do that. And and you go out and you see other groups, and you're like, wait, she is really, really drunk, and you just putting in a taxi by herself.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
It's just not okay. Yeah,
It's nonsense. We always make sure we put you to the door. If we have to open it, you're so messed up you can't even open the door yourself, we'd let you and put you down, you know, make sure you're all right, and then just go,
yeah,
leave it to it, and just make sure check up with you in the following morning, afternoon, just to see you're okay and
yeah.
you're up, you know. And
And a
that,
weird,
yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, and a really weird thing that happened on Saturday, because Saturday, you know, that was when the vigil was gonna happen for
Yeah, that's
Sarah
right.
in
Yes, yeah.
Clapham. And you know, there was a Facebook group, and you kind of find out information about it, on whether it's still happening or not. And it's been cancelled, but still a lot of people are still going down to lay down flowers, pay the respect. As I was walking down the road, it was still light out, and all anyone could think about, I'm sure, across England right now, or even in other places, is what happened. So I was walking down the street, bright light, and this guy just, you know, driving his car, slowed down next to me, and he called me Sarah, and I was just freaking out. I was like, what? So I ignored him, and he was like, "Hey, Sarah, don't you recognize me?" And I said, "Sorry, I don't know you." And he started going, "I can't believe you don't remember me. Like, can you just stop?" And I said, "No, sorry, I don't know you. So I'm just going to keep walking." It was on a busy street. And then he just said, "All right, then we'll keep on walking." You know, he's being all stuck up. So I was just like, okay, I literally just don't know you. So I think it's just like things like that. Just, yes, if I say I don't know you, then just drive on. And why do you have to be so angry about it all? So things like that, like it just adds on that extra stress and anger to what's happening. So I'm just like, what? Stop bothering other people.
Is there a bit of, I'm just kind of think from a man's point of view. Now, do some men have a problem with ego? And that kind of,
Absolutely.
that whole, no, because it's weird to me, because I don't get the behavior. I wasn't brought up that way. Maybe because I've got so much females in my family. Maybe there's something to do with that. And maybe I don't know, because I've never thought about it, because that way of that behavior, I just don't get it. It's kind of like this whole predatory way of feeling, and an ego with that. So they get a knockback, they have to keep on persisting, and then it becomes like it's your problem That I
Yeah.
just don't get it. Just as you said, once you said I don't know you, just drive on. I don't get
Yeah.
why it's persisting and what you're going to change your mind all of a sudden. I don't.
Yeah. So someone did walk past, another female walked past and looked at me, and then I just like I don't know what happened, and then he drove past, so I just called my friend, and exactly what your reaction, I was like, I just don't really understand. I just don't understand why, like, the behavior, why, I just don't get it.
Because I don't, and I'm a man, so
I think it's just like, it's just strange behavior. And like you said, if you grow up in a lot of my friends that grew up in a environment where there's a lot of female around, it definitely changed their behavior, I feel. And a lot of people, I just felt, like I said, majority of my colleagues are in the US and Canada. So I spoke to them about this issue, and we have a diversity group that we talk about different things and support each other.
great. I like that.
So I brought it up and I said, I'm sorry, this is a bit sad. So if you don't want to read it, it's okay. But this is what's happened in the UK, and I just feel so angry about it. And then other people from the other side of the world just said they were being super supportive and sharing what are the things that they're doing to help, making women feel safe, and how to change. A lot of people have, like, sons and daughters and kids.
Yeah.
So they were sharing, like, I'm teaching my son this, I'm reading this book, I'm, watching this documentary with my children, and start teaching them all of the things that they should do now as kids, and not have to wait till when they're older and change their behavior. Do it from the ground, do it from when they're younger, which is great.
When you have to unlearn a lot of these bad habits and things. But for me, a lot of that as well, when I think about it, is just like common decency and respect. What about those basic values to any other human being, no matter what sex you are, what nationality you are, whatever. Your judgment about that person, leave it to the side, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just common decency and respect for people.
Yeah, I think those things are taught also when, depending on how, where you grew up and what you were taught when you were younger, that has a lot to do with it as a foundation. So I think if you didn't have that resources, or didn't, weren't taught that way, then when you grow up, you just think all of those behavior that we see as common decency is like a strange world to them. So it's hard.
And on the other side to that, when we see them behaving like that, that's like the weirdest thing. And why, and asking the questions like, what's wrong with you? What's like, take no is no. You didn't recognize the person, he probably got you mixed up with someone else, and just move on and drive on.
Yeah, fair enough. Say, oh, sorry, Viva. I've done it before where I've recognized, I thought it was one of my friends. They said no, and I was like, okay, sorry, totally my bad.
Leave the ego at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't have a place in society, and around people you don't know, and just be respectful, and common decency for everyone, no matter who it is you come across. Just treat people with respect. Mandy, thank you very much for coming on short notice. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too. I wish I had more time. It's lovely chatting with you.
Yeah, it's been nice. It's been nice to meet you. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
We'll catch up soon.
Yeah.
So I think I have quite a lot of different experiences here and there. And to be honest, I think I kind of got used to that, and I don't really notice it as much unless it's very obvious in your face, or in a very rude way. But I think, like, one of the examples that comes to my mind was when I felt slightly uncomfortable was at work, because I have a larger chest that is visible, and sometimes it's difficult for me to hide it. It's just what it is. It's just my body type. And there was one manager that I was working with, and he was always making comments about, in a very sort of funny, jokey way, that, I'll be able to persuade clients or something like that because of, the way I look, because of the size of my chest and so on. So those kind of comments, can sometimes obviously be taken, depending on someone's mentality, for example, because as I said, I kind of got used to this and I don't really take it too personally. I can sort of detach myself from this. It's not something that will, you know, blow in my head that, you know, oh my God, this is a horrible thing. But if it was someone maybe a little bit more sensitive, definitely can affect them, or maybe younger, definitely can affect them quite a lot. And I don't think that we should feeling like that, or those comments should be, you know, there. Like, for example, I don't know, if you wear something a bit more revealing, you know, men will be commenting or anything like that. I think it's time that we move on from that and just, you know, accept how it is. And I think, like, also with the culture nowadays, entertainment business, for example, is very sexualized. Obviously, we see that on a daily basis, whether it's music videos, whether there is, you know, now on platforms, it's more, you know, promoted. Like, for example, if I post something more revealing on Instagram, I'll have more interaction than if I post something, you know, talking about mental health issues, for example. So it just shows that people recognize that this is something, you know, more popular, sex sells and so on, and this kind of creates a circle of, you know, going outside in the public as well.
Yeah, I just think there's a couple of things. I think it's sad, the fact that you felt that you'd have to hide your breasts, or, you know, your chest because they're bigger or what have you. And it's kind of, I just kind of think and want to get to that mentality that people should be thinking is, why do you have to? If
exactly.
That's you. So whether you wear a tight top or whatever you want to wear, it's your prerogative. But the fact that you were thinking that in your mind, that, oh yeah, if I do this, I'm probably going to get someone, you know, making comments, and, you know, and which is sad, because for me, that just screams immaturity on, you know, those men that were saying these type of things to you, because it's the workplace anyway, never mind in public and out, but professionalism, respect. What about that? You know, we can have these thoughts. And I'm a man, and I know I could be thinking something like that, maybe, because I observed it. So I'm not saying, oh yeah, you know, I'm a saint, but what I'm saying is, I wouldn't say it to you. So we can observe stuff. We got eyes, so I could probably see that. Yeah, so there's no harm in that. You can see it, your eyes. So you may look, and I may not be staring, but I may notice. Yeah, but I'm not then going to say something about your chest and say, oh, you know, making comments at work. So it's all inappropriate. Even if that was it was out in the public, you know, I was out in a park or someone, I made a comment of being inappropriate. So it didn't matter where it was. It's just the fact that, you know, that's disrespectful. Keep your thoughts to yourself, and that's just a shame. That makes it, and it's good you got thicker skin, but there's some people that would take it and be very conscious of that all the time, and it would affect them. You know, they could get anxiety for it, mental health issues. We don't know. So this 100%. Could affect other women in other ways. But, you know, yes, you've developed thicker skin, and as you said, you've got used to it. And that's quite sad that you're saying that, because you shouldn't have to. You know, something that's the norm, and that's kind of the behavior of men, or this particular man around you in a workplace, because he couldn't keep his comments to himself, because he noticed you have larger breasts. Wow. It's like, keep it to yourself. It's none of your business or not. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And going forward, some Dags, how can we help to make you feel safer? Do we need to call this guy out? So should the other male colleagues have called this guy out and said, look, that's disrespectful. Come on, Dags is a hard worker. You know, she just disrespect her. You don't need to make comments about it. You know, so
100%. I mean, I think, like, looking back, I wish I have said something. I wish I stood up more for myself and actually voiced that. But I think, like, when you're in that situation, especially if that's your manager, you automatically think if I say something, they will use that against me in the future, or maybe pinpoint some sort of mistake, and that will be a catalyst to like then me, you know, losing my job or something like that. So I think you always have that in the back of your mind, like, you know, because they have that title and that power, you kind of have to accept this, and you shouldn't say anything. But I think women should be you know, free to stood up for themselves and to say something in those situations, and not being afraid to, you know, if they are uncomfortable, you know, just voice it. And obviously one of the things that they shouldn't obviously make those comments in the first place. That's obviously, you know, I feel like nowadays everyone has this a need to have an opinion on everything and everyone. And just because of the, you know, social media, everyone's commenting on everyone's post, I don't know, articles and so on. And no, I didn't see that, because obviously I didn't grow up with social media when I was younger. It wasn't like that. And I think now people just have a bit more courage to express what they think, whether they like it or not. And that kind of goes, you know, more and more now into the public, also into face-to-face situations. But I think the online is the biggest one, I would say.
Yeah, and I get that, and I totally understand where you're coming from. Let's be respectful.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
well,
just keep your thoughts to yourself.
Yeah, you can comment. I can comment on a picture of yours, but I'm not going to take it beyond, you know, oh yeah, then start saying all some creepy shit. I'm just going to say, yeah, I'm just going to comment and you know, I like the way you look or whatever it is. Yeah, but it's respect. I'm never going to take it, because I just find it, whether I know you or not, it's disrespectful to start having those conversations, whether they would have entered my mind or whatever, or entering other men's minds. Just keep the disrespectful comments and nasty comments, because some people could be really cruel as well online. So keep all of that to yourself. You know, you may have problems in your own life, but don't vent out on other people who you don't know, who are just, you know, just have some respect for us as human beings, women, men, whoever's online. You know, if you're making comments about them, just try and be respectful. That's all I ask for. So I don't think that's unrealistic, whether they're hiding behind keyboards or whatever. Just be respectful. And these men out there just kind of think, would you make these comments to your sister? Would you make them to your wife? Would you make them to your mother? If you had a daughter, if someone spoke to your daughter in that way, what would you think? And kind of put yourself, you know, start saying, if I was connected to this person or really knew this person, would I be speaking to them in this way? They wouldn't. So that's what I'm saying. And why I wanted to put these episodes together was to start saying we can do better as men. And don't get me 100%. Wrong, I'm not saying it's all men either. So I'm not here trying to bash every man, because I know that's not the case. At the moment, that's what we're talking about, because I actually have come across women who, you know, can be very, you know, can, you know, have like these really, you know, just disrespectful ways of communicating or trying to touch and be a bit like you'd to kind of normalize that behavior for men, being that kind of aggressive and predatory way, you know, in environments like clubs or a gym and stuff. So I've come across women like that. So it's not all one way. So I just want to put that out there. But I'm about this. So it's about, you know, how can, you know, men do better is the episode. So yeah, just how we can move forwards. And, you know, I want a place where, you know, men and women could just be themselves. And, you know, if you have opinions about them, if they're not going to be constructive and helpful, keep them to yourself, you know.
100%. And you mentioned about like gym. For me, that's also another thing. Like, you go to the gym to obviously work out, and you're not really looking to interact with other people, or and then sometimes you have those, you know, people, men usually, that will just make you feel uncomfortable by the way they look, by the way they observe how you're working out, or making a comment on, you know, because you're wearing leggings and your bum is a bit more visible and so on, and that can throw you off, you know, you're working, you're like your your plan and so on. So I think, yeah, that's the environment. You really don't want to hear anything like that, and it can be annoying. But I've noticed, you know, because obviously I'm from Poland and I grew up in Eastern Europe, and remember when I first came here, there was a big difference in, like, cultural difference in the way men behave and interact with women compared to here. And I think that there is still, obviously, since Poland joined the European Union, a lot has changed. And because a lot of people from Poland lived in different countries and then moved back to Poland, so it kind of like now the culture kind of disappeared a little bit, but generally in Poland, men are quite like gentlemen-like, so they'll open the doors to you, they'll let you in first in the queue. They you know, the International Women's Day is a big event in Poland, and those kind of things, like, they really, you know, you can definitely feel more respect towards women from men, because it all comes from how you've been brought up and home, and, you know, what you observe in the environment. So that's important.
It's true, isn't it? It's true. Unfortunately, a lot of us are sheep, and we just follow what everyone else is. We just follow the herd instead of being our own people. And you're right, society breeds that. Social media, as you said, women sexualized. Enough, maybe not enough education about, you know, how we should communicate to women, and, you know, what is the best way to do that. You know, we take it for granted that you should have basic manners and respect, but not everyone does. So you know, and that's the thing, as you said, if you got a society like in Poland, how Poland was, that this was the way, so you follow others. Oh yeah, this is the way to treat women. This, you know, you should, you know, my dad treats, you know, mum like that, and, you know, my sister like that, whatever. These are the influences I've had as growing up, and so those are the role models. So you kind of just follow that, don't you, as a natural thing. So disrespectful would be the outcast and someone who's not accepted in the community, because everyone else does this. So why is this other person being that way? So that would be frowned upon, rather than the other here, where it's, as you said, it's kind of, you thought it was normal, and it's just the kind of the way things are. So the negative behavior is normalized.
It's like a domino effect, isn't it? One starts, and especially if someone sees a benefit of that kind of behavior, they will follow, and goes another and another. And it's just how it is. But we just have to, obviously, you know, it's important. Obviously, everything comes from home, but also in the environment, school, obviously society, social media. Now it's a big thing. You know, we just need to start this trend now, because I think, like, it's just been going on for such a long time, and everyone's tired. All women are tired now. And, you know, one person, sometimes a leader that will lead that movement towards, you know, normalizing behavior and actually bring the gentleman back, you know, bring that behavior. So yeah, it will be good, definitely, to see.
Yeah, we still exist, Dags, don't worry. There's very few of us, but I'm trying to, you know, start this movement again.
Yes, good.
And, you know, it's not right, and it's just horrible to see. And unfortunately, it took the death of Sarah Everard to spark things and trigger people and have conversations. And that, you know, that's the type of the respectful behavior is the behavior that needs to be normalized, and making women feel safe. And, you know, you're out with a group of women on a night out, make sure they get home safely. Let's make sure we're texting them. If they're really drunk or whatever, let's put them in a cab and actually take them back and make sure they get into their apartment or house safely, and check up on them the next day to make sure they're okay. And let's really look after our, you know, and start with your tribe, your network of friends first, and you know, then maybe little bit by bit other people can see that behavior, and it can be something they respect and they look up to and realize that's the way forwards. But that was the way I was taught anyway. And maybe because I got a lot of women in my family, maybe that's something as well to do with the way I was, the kind of the way I perceive women and the respect I have for women as a whole. Even if I don't know them, I'm still going to respect you for being a woman and a person. You know? Just like I want to be respected from people. The same. I treat people like you want to be treated. So that
exactly.
I was always taught that way. So being disrespectful and all this stuff doesn't make sense to me, because I don't know what you're getting from that. I don't know the benefits.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, obviously that's a bit deeper subject, because it goes from, you know, how you feel about yourself, and then this is how you reflect others and so on, which is obviously a different topic, but unfortunately it's just, you know, comes from the environment, what you see around, and how you feel about yourself, and you know, you want to be treated nicely, treat other people nicely as well. And yeah,
100%. Dags, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And
thank you for having me.
Soon, yeah. See you later. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.